just saw this one. I thought it was interesting. Is hip hop a cancer or cure to our people?
Well, I think that at this point, it's more of a cancer, but it started off. Well, it can be a cancer and a cure. I can talk for me, and in general, the I think the hip hop culture right now is definitely a cancer.
Why?
I just feel like what we see, like in general, like I know that if you go deeper into it, then you get to the point where you can, choose the artists and curate everything properly and what you're listening to, then it can definitely be a medicine. But I also feel like personally I had to stop listening to certain things and the way they're portraying hip hop at this point. I think that there's an agenda to ruin it as well. But like the hypersexualizing of black women and men actually as well. And just yeah, this whole culture of bitches and hoes and n words. I'm not. Yeah, It's just man acting like womanizing and just treating women like a piece of meat and all this is like for me and talking about taking drugs and selling drugs. I just feel like for me every time I do listen to it too much, I start like music is so powerful. I start just shifting my priorities or my energy to things that are not progressive and productive for me. So I feel like
Okay. I feel like within this question, because firstly, it's a very reductionist question, but secondly, it shows how insidious anti blackness is. Because hip hop is not a cure or a cancer, it's a genre of music. If we look at other genres of music that are linked with other races, like rock, country, metal, all of them are misogynistic or have misogynistic elements to it. But we see hip hop as this really misogynistic, violent. There's violence and misogyny in all different types of music. 100%. Hip hop, yes, of course.
it
Have you
is.
ever have you ever listened to a country song?
No, but I listen to a lot of rock music,
And
and I listened to a lot of rock
and
music in my life, and it wasn't the same.
the biggest rock stars of all time talk about banging underage girls. They talk about doing heavy drugs, cocaine, heroin, all of this. Yes, 100%. Mick Jagger, the Rolling Stones, all of these guys. Listen to their music. Why is it that the music that is heavily linked with black people is the one that's demonized?
Okay, but sorry, but also if you look at, it's also about branding and the way that I think there is also an agenda behind it more because hip hop is so influential at this point, and I think the branding is very different because you look into like a music video, a hip hop music videos, and just see ass out and okay, forget the money throwing because it's not bad about no, there's nothing really bad about throwing money in the air to be fair, but I'm just talking about more like the you know also like the violence and the sexualizing of the black woman and also the black man, like talking about bitches and hoes and stuff. I think visually you're looking at the hip hop music video compared to rock music is not the same. And I'm not saying there's no rock videos with half naked women, but I'm saying like the magnitude and the intent, like how many there is a difference. There's a difference.
No, there is a difference, fair enough.
Yes.
But hip hop, firstly, is a massive genre with subgenres within hip hop
Yes.
that doesn't fall under what you're saying.
Yeah. Okay.
There is hip hop that's a lot more soulful, that's a lot more thoughtful, that's a lot more conscious, that doesn't depict anything that you're saying.
Yeah.
Hip hop is treated as a monolith because there are, honestly, because it's a majority black genre of music.
And blackness is treated as a monolith as well. That's why.
Yeah.
Connected. Yeah.
And I feel like there is an element of demonization when it comes to hip hop because it is so closely linked with black people, and the shit that they talk about again in country songs or in rock songs, if it was black people who were predominantly saturating those genres, they would be the ones that are heavily demonized. In my opinion, I feel like we demonize hip hop because it's so closely linked to, and they talk about how misogynistic hip hop is, blah 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 blah. Like again, I feel like it's the whole trope or stereotype of like the dangerous or aggressive black man, to the point where if we do something that is similar to what white men do in other genres of music, ours is a lot worse.
But I'm sorry, so you're telling me that, because I can also...
I've seen horrible rock music videos. I've seen horrendous country. I've listened to horrendous country music.
Okay, but I'm talking about
lyrics.
the magnitude of it.
Well,
like, because I'm also talking about how
been...
hip-hop is being branded right now.
Yeah, you're talking about right now. Hip-hop has been going on for decades, and it's always been demonized.
Yeah, but I was talking
Even
about
back,
I've been talking about right now before I said right now as well.
Yeah, but this is what I'm talking about. You're ignoring the history. Right now, hip-hop has been going on for decades. Why are you only talking about it when it's the most popular
But I did
genre?
say it didn't start off like that. I said initially it was a cure, but over the years it's become like this, and this is what I'm not fucking with it anymore.
But that type of music that was going on decades ago still exists, but it's just proliferated. It's just grown.
Yeah, I get that, but I'm saying that the agenda behind how hip-hop is being branded, and because it's become so popular and so influential, especially to young people, the way the state it is in now and the branding and the culture behind it is a cancer. I know there's other type of music, I get that, within the hip-hop genre, and as you grow older and wiser, you choose very wisely what you listen to and what you don't listen to across all genres anyways. But the way it's going in terms of like, maybe we shouldn't call it hip-hop anymore, but pop.
Yeah.
Because it's become pop, and then maybe we should separate the branding, what I was just talking about with the sexualization, and making it look like, you know, hypersexualized black man and black woman, and, you know, the violence and everything. Make that into the pop, and keep hip-hop as what's the more healing aspect of it. I don't know, because I just feel like the way it's going right now, when you go to like the award shows and stuff like that, where they play what most people would call hip-hop, you know, that is really, really bad. And it's not going on in the rock space like that.
I mean,
it's not the same thing. It's not the same. I don't think so.
You say it as if these experiences don't happen. Like, there could be a reason why you believe that hip hop is more violent and more sexualized. Do you not believe that it could be because black people experience more violence because of what the oppression that we're subjected to, and we experience more sexualization because we're constantly fetishized? These are the lived experiences of the artists, and it's art that they're expressing.
Fair enough.
That's why I feel like drill music, even though too much of it can negatively affect you, I think it's a valid genre of music, because they are expressing their lived experiences.
I get that.
And I feel like to demonize that is to really demonize art. A lot of these guys, it's true, to demonize the lived experiences of these artists, whether it's violent or sexual, they still experience it, and they have every right to express it. And I feel like to demonize hip-hop specifically, when, as I said, it happens within other genres, I feel like there is an element of racialization to that, and you should be aware of it.
I think that sometimes whatever you want to call it, and then you can be like, oh yeah, but it's because of that and it was of that, I fully get. And many times heard the argument of like, especially drill artists or like certain hip hop artists, to be like, oh, I'm just expressing how I feel and what I'm going through, and this is my art, and I'm just, fair enough. That doesn't change the fact. I get the theory of that, but if I had a son and all I can hear coming out of my son's room is drill music all day long, I'd be worried.
That's what I said. Too much of it.
That's what I'm saying.
Because it's low. It's low frequency music. And when I was listening to the most drill music was when I was working in the city and when I was pissed off most of the time. And it would like, I don't know, it was cathartic to listen to it. But I'm just saying, I think it's fair for you to realize that the demonization of hip hop is racialized.
I think it's at the point where it's going, it's demonizing itself. Look at all these awards where it's just like literally Cardi B standing there with a devil outfit. They're all doing it right now in the music industry, in the hip hop, especially in the black hip hop space, where they're coming out with horns and they want to make everything look demonic. I'm not even one of those conspiracy theorists that be like, oh look, the devil. I think it's also a form of art, and it's also a form of like, you know, darkness, mystic. Fair enough. I do like these things sometimes, like even like weird analogy, but Harry Potter, you have the darkness. I see it. You can kind of compare, like it's both like worshipping the devil kind of thing. If you look at movies like Harry Potter and evil and all this, and then you look at it. But I'm slowly starting, even though I'm not initially one of those people that are conspiracy theorists and saying they are worshipping the devil, I do like look at it sometimes. I'm like, must it be every time now? You must be there with like a horns
Mate,
and the tail and the tricep, like with a stick, and sit on top and on hell and fuck each other on stage. Like,
I'm sorry, you want to talk about the devil and demonic behavior and not talk about metal music or rock music. Like, be fucking for real. Come on, please.
No.
Like they've been doing that shit since the 70s, 60s. That is almost it's a key part of rock.
The metal music, yes.
And like, I do understand it's happening a lot more in hip hop than it used to, but I feel like this goes back to your point of hip hop shifting into pop.
Yeah.
And when rock and roll was the most popular, what's the word? When it was the most popular genre, we saw a lot of that as well. So I think it's not hip hop, it's
the music industry in Hollywood.
It's the music industry and popularity as opposed to hip hop. Okay. Because maybe that's what Hollywood or whatever.
That's what I'm saying. Behind this is like this agenda.
But I'm saying don't make that synonymous with what hip hop is.
Unfortunately, is a lot what it looks like right now.
Because you're allowing people who didn't create and didn't feed into that culture to completely change the perception of what that culture is.
Fair enough.
And that isn't fair to the people who A, create this art, and B, the people who enjoy this art. Because I've been enjoying hip hop my entire life outside of what's happening right now. Yeah. And for people to see what's happening right now, because hip hop is becoming a lot more popular, so they're able to like put their agenda on it. For my favorite music genre to be demonized and the fans of that same genre to be demonized because it's now being taken by people who don't really own it or deserve to have any claim to it, I just feel like that's completely unfair, and I feel like there is a racial element to it.
Yeah, I feel that, but like I said, the way it's going now, I do agree that we should separate maybe this what's going, you know, the hip hop that we're seeing unfold now and call it pop and charge it to the music industry rather than to hip hop. I think that's fair enough. But I did say mostly the way things are going, you know, and the way it's being branded, it's bad. And I think you know why I think it's so sad and why it's like becoming much more cancerous, let's say, to our community especially, is because our young people especially that feed into it so much. And I think only as you get older you become a little bit more, you curate more what you listen to. I think as you're younger you just kind of eat up everything that comes your way and that's what's being marketed to you. Younger people and young minds are the most receptive and vulnerable to the marketing that's going on, and that is that kind of hip hop, or call it pop, but let me say that kind of hip hop for context now. So I think, and it is mostly the young black kids that need it the least, that are victim to it, and that perpetuate it, like it just feeds off it. And yeah, whether the pain is before the art, comes before the art, and then the art, but it still feeds into each other and just creates a monster the same way. And it's true, I agree with you in saying like, oh, metal and the rock industry, and it's the same, probably true, but sometimes I also feel like there is some level of like accountability within the black community. And I'm not just saying in a sense of like, oh, look at white people looking at us like, oh, you know, we're looking so bad, and I don't care, it's not about them.
But I was going to say, it sounds like respectability in politics.
I'm not looking at it like,
oh, the women are shaking their asses, blah blah.
Yeah,
blah,
no,
like,
I'm not looking at it. I'm just looking at it from the inside in, being in the inside, and looking at it also as how it does affect the community. And yeah, you can talk so much about, yeah, that's just the pain people, and then maybe, but there's still like a level, it's still our community, and I think that there's still a level of like
self-policing,
yeah, we can do with that. And I think lots of people are doing it, because I personally had to listen, I had to consciously make an effort to not listen to certain things anymore. And I know that it's not easy for everyone, or I know that that's something that comes with age, but it does amp you up a lot, especially a young person being in certain environments and stuff like that. It definitely doesn't help the situation. No, and then also on top of that, which is so difficult, I think, within our generation, is like, and that's something I actually suffered with myself, but obviously that gets much better with time, is that lots of young black people, that's the only representation they know, and then 90% of us just want to be rappers and video vixens. But I think that representation is becoming a bit more wider and better, slowly but surely. And seeing like different, with social media as well, and representation, like we said. So yeah, I just feel like, yes, you're not wrong, but at the same time, the self-policing thing, we can't just be like, oh, but they do it too, and it's just bad because of us. There's still a level of accountability, and be like, okay, whether they do it or not do it, maybe they can afford it a little bit more.
Yeah, fair enough.